At a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing today, Army leaders testified on how it's using technology to transform.
The Army Transformation Initiative will make us into an Army that is lean, agile, and relentlessly focused on empowering its soldiers. An Army that embraces innovation, collaborates effectively with the private sector, and prioritizes warfighting readiness above all else.
From drones to generative AI to new concept vehicles, the Army is looking to modernize to be ready for future warfighting. Senator Wicker started his line of questioning asking about small drones.
DJI is producing 15 million drones. One of the challenges for us, like brushless motors, controllers, things like that, that I think that this is where we need to move to in our own industrial base and be able to do that. It could help commercial industry here stateside as well.
As the Humvee is being phased out, Senator Peters from Michigan wanted more information about new concept vehicles the Army was working on.
Do I have your commitment to work together to maintain both the Arsenal and GVSC's role in supporting the future for the Army's both wheeled as well as tracked vehicles?
I would love to work with you, Senator. And the ISV, the Infantry Squad vehicle, it comes off of Chevy Colorado, so it's dual use. The GM Defense have been incredible partners. I saw them a couple weeks ago as we were visiting, and what they have been able to make for our soldiers, and their CEO actually goes out into the field with our soldiers to figure out how can it be better, and then they will iterate those changes within a couple of weeks. So I completely agree that what has occurred in the vehicle manufacturing in Michigan is incredibly valuable for soldiers.
What we're looking at for all across acquisitions, and we do have, Detroit Arsenal is important to us, but what's really important is our access to adopt and modify technology that's coming from the commercial sector. That's been, really important to us. And what GM and Ford and those companies spend on R&D and what they're doing with autonomous systems, in certain ways, what we're looking at is how do we restructure to make sure that we are taking advantage of that and not trying to build our own systems. We can't compete with what those two amazing companies can do up there. So what specifically do we need to do? And that's been our focus.
It was then Senator Tuberville's turn. He asked the Army leaders about AI.
How will the Army be using artificial intelligence to help decision making?
Senator, we think of the Army as kind of two discrete functions when General George and I talk about it. One is like a large enterprise business that moves people and things across the country and the world. The other is hopefully an incredibly lethal killing machine and warfighting machine. And so I think AI and generative AI will meaningfully impact both spaces. The first thing we're working on is creating a data layer that basically allows for our people and our things and our sensors to all communicate in near real time. On the warfighting function, once you can have that occur, you can layer in generative AI for things like fires targeting. For air and missile defense, it's incredibly valuable. I would estimate that we'll start to see that at scale in kind of 12 to 18 months. On the Army as an enterprise business side, we're incredibly optimistic. We have 200 plus enterprise systems right now that are oftentimes siloed. Oftentimes we've had software created just for us that we have to maintain that is decades out of date, and we think generative AI will be able to help us with all sorts of tasks in the coming months. I'm excited to announce or just give credit to the recruiting team. They've onboarded to a very common CRM, customer relationship management tool called Salesforce. Generative AI can be applied to a lot of the things that we do as we recruit soldiers and bring them into the Army.
As the hearing wrapped up, Senator Ernst wanted more information about how the Army planned to train its soldiers with the new tech.
How is the Army adapting its training and talent management to support these more technical kinds of units and our operational needs?
So to training, one of the most, and just to reinforce the bottom-up concept, I was down at Fort Jackson a couple weeks ago, which is where I did basic training 18 years ago. And you do these lanes 5 weeks into the course. So these are soldiers who've been in the United States Army for 5 weeks. And what their drill sergeants had done is they had gotten drones to film them in the lanes, and then in their after-action review, they would actually look and see, what do I look like from a drone's view? But then this is the part that's so remarkable to me. each time they iterated, so each time a drill sergeant took soldiers through this event, they learned something from these soldiers who were 5 weeks in, and those learnings have trickled up from Fort Jackson, South Carolina, the Pentagon, and have actually changed some of the ways that we are telling people to engage with drones, which is just absolutely remarkable.
For more Congress news, stay tuned to Congress Clips, and thanks for watching.